These 6 animals are criminals who murdered their owners. Welcome back to our channel. Today, you'll have a look at some unexpected criminals. We've compiled a list of 6 criminal animals who murdered their owners. So buckle up and let's get started. Bloodthirsty lionesses. Our first incident takes us to the safari lodge of 68-year-old West Mathewson, who owned 2 white lionesses who mauled him to death. It all happened when West unlocked the lionesses' gate to take them for their routine morning walk, but the lionesses had something else planned. After the gate was open, they pounced on their owner and mauled him to shreds. How ungrateful! West got fatal injuries and died shortly after. Surprisingly, this wasn't the first time the lionesses had been involved in a death. In 2017, the lionesses worked together to kill a man from the neighboring property after escaping from their cage. It looks like these lionesses have a taste for blood. Deadly black mamba. Next up, we have a woman named Aletta Stacy bitten by a deadly black mamba and found dead on the floor of her home, where she lived with 75 other snakes, most of them highly venomous. That's right, she lived with dozens of venomous snakes. Like seriously. That was a crazy thing. But she did it out of love for the reptiles. She was bitten by accident while cleaning the glass aquarium where the black mamba lived. And yeah, that seems pretty reasonable, as black mambas are dangerously fast, highly aggressive when threatened, and responsible for heaps of deaths every year where they live in Africa. It's no surprise that the black mamba sunk its fangs into its owner, family hippo. The third criminal is Humphrey the hippo, who was raised by Marius Els since the animal was just 5 months old. Marius was a farmer in South Africa who loved his pet hippo like a son. He was so devoted to the giant pet that he built a lake on his farm for Humphrey to swim in. Marius rescued the poor hippopotamus from a flood when he was just a baby and made him part of the family. Marius fed Humphrey every day himself, and he even brushed the hippo's big square teeth. He would sometimes even ride on Humphrey's back. But this love turned into tragedy in 2011 when Marius was bitten to death by Humphrey. Nobody knows exactly what happened, but Marius was discovered in the very same river where Humphrey had been rescued almost a decade earlier, ravaged by bite marks and other brutal injuries that could only have been caused by a hippopotamus. It's hard to say exactly what transpired between him and his hippo. In the end, it looks like you just can't be friends with a hippo. Wild wildebeest. Next, a man named Klaus Redant was killed by his very own wildebeest. This guy had a menagerie of exotic animals on his farm in northern Indiana. One of his favorite animals was a giant wildebeest that weighed at least 500 pounds. The wildebeest, which is essentially an African antelope, cornered this owner in the barnyard behind his home and pounded him to death. So far, nobody is really sure what motivated these animals to commit what appeared to be a premeditated murder. The man's wife found him dead on the ground in the barnyard. It is suggested that the wildebeest had used its horns to beat the man until he fell on the ground, at which point he was trampled. Randy Camel. For Pam Weaver's 60th birthday in 2007, her husband got her a camel to keep as a pet. She had a love of exotic pets, and her family had considered buying her a llama, but they found the camel a very affordable option. But before she could turn 61, Pam Weaver was killed by her gifted pet camel. She was found dead by her husband and daughter at the family's sheep and cattle farm. She had a distinct footprint on the side of her face and another on her arm. The 10-month-old camel had been exhibiting erratic behavior for some time prior to the incident, reportedly trying to override other animals, including the family's pet goat. This birthday gift cost Pam her life. Crawling killers. Imagine walking into an apartment with more than 200 spiders. It sounds like something out of a horror movie. Now, imagine the horror of entering such an apartment only to find the resident dead and numerous spiders crawling over his body. For German police officers, this nightmare became a reality in 2004 when they entered Mark Vogel's apartment. He was killed by a venomous spider bite from one of his favorite pets, a black widow named Bettina. The killer bite was about 15 times stronger than that of a rattlesnake and deadlier than the venom of a cobra. Mark was believed to have been dead for about a week or two before his neighbors reported a foul smell coming from his apartment to the police. What a poor death to die. It is important to remember that wild animals are not pets and can be very dangerous. No matter how cute or friendly they may seem, these animals are not domesticated and are not meant to live in a human household. Even if an animal appears to be tame, it can quickly become aggressive and unpredictable. Keeping wild animals as pets is not only illegal in many places, but it also poses a serious risk to both the animal and the owner. So please keep in mind that wild animals belong in their natural habitats, not in homes as pets. So these were some animals that turned ungrateful and killed their owners. That's all for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.